Hello and welcome back to the Temporary Stand Celtic podcast. This is episode number 41. This week I'm joined in the stand with Marty and Richie, and once again we look back at a week in Celtic. We start off by looking at the performances and performers in last week's 3-0 win at Solitude over Cliftonville in the Champions League qualifier. We then take a wee shift to look at the weekend's Brentford friendly in London town and the goings on the day. We then talk about the prospective ties with Eflsborg and the Mo Bangura dilemma and Neil Lennon's comments on the matter. We start once again talking about the new signings and the transfer forward, the chase tack and look at the Celtic youth team, the lack of defenders coming through. Finally we finish off with a wee look at the glamour of Dublin friendly versus Liverpool. As always, we hope you enjoy this effort, so nothing left to do but see you on the flip side.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Temporary Stand number 41. I'm Marty and tonight I'm joined by Scotty Boy.
How you doing, Marty?
And Richard Kidd.
How are you doing?
Not too craig of ad. So we're sitting on a Sunday night. We're halfway through our first Champions League tie with Cliftonville. We had a friendly game against Brentford and since we last spoke, a couple of odds and ends have happened at the club as well, so should be plenty to talk about tonight. Scott, I'll start with you. The Cliftonville match, 3-0 win away. Happy enough?
Yeah, job done. We had our reservations about it, but in the cold light of day, we were playing basically an amateur, or not an amateur, do you know what I mean, a semi-pro football team. They guys were working and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? So in the cold light of day, we should really be beating them as comfortable as it was. In fairness to them, they gave everything they got. There was a lot of hustle, there was a lot of, and they could even have grabbed themselves a couple of goals on the day. But I thought it was quite comprehensive. The boys stood up when they needed the day. It kind of proved that the friendly games were exactly that, just friendly games to get the fitness and the touch. And I thought everybody looked well. Like the pre-season games where I said I wouldn't get too down about them. I'm not going to get too hyper about beating Cliftonville 3-0. I think Eflsborg maybe a hard shift again. However, we proved last season that we can win away from home, and the Swedish. I don't think the Swedish is as strong a league as you would have said in the past. So I was relatively happy, and it was a decent enough game, and the atmosphere sounded great.
Richie, you were there, not with me, you were there, I saw you, but you were in another part of the ground. What was your thoughts?
I agree with Scott. I thought it was a professional performance from Celtic. I thought the players, like Scott says, you're playing a lower opposition than yourselves, guys who are semi-pro who have been working that day, but you still have to, all you ask is that the players put in the effort on the day, and I thought they did that. I thought some of them were very good in terms of the effort they put in. Stokes, I thought Stokes was excellent the whole game. He really looked up for it, and the rest of them, that's all you want them to do, is just take the game seriously, play it professionally. There's a lot up for grabs. If you had lost a goal in the first 10 minutes, anything can happen. So they kept it tight, and they took their chances, and we could have won by more, I suppose. And I was pleased by a lot of the performances, even the substitutes that came on. So I thought it was great, and like Marty says, the atmosphere was excellent. I didn't get into Belfast until about 6:30, 7:15, and it was just amazing. It was like a complete festival. People out in the streets, the whole community around about Solitude was out and about. Just seemed delighted, the amount of people who were out there having a good time. I didn't see one bit of trouble or anything like that even. So it was just a great night, and on occasion I was glad to be there.
It shows you what football can be like when people just let you get on with it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I suppose because you were there, Richie, I suppose it'd be better asking you, because you saw some of the Cliftonville players in the flesh. What did you think of the likes of Boyce or Gormley or any of those players who were playing up front against us? Did you think they troubled us at all?
No, really, no. I thought Boyce showed some good touches on and off. I think it was the second half. I think he skint Kelvin Wilson, and that was the best chance of the game they had. It was a really great bit of skill. His touch was excellent. So you can see why a team like Werder Bremen took a chance on him. I'm not sure he's quite up to, I think he's good enough to play for an SPL team, maybe the likes of Motherwell or anybody like that. I think he'd be good enough. I think he's too good to be playing at the level he's playing at. I'm not sure. Apart from that, no, not really. I wasn't actually as impressed by Cliftonville as I thought it would be. I think the gap in ability was more than we thought it might be and they thought it might be, because even their effort wasn't quite good enough to really touch us. I thought a couple of our players, put a couple of decent tackles in. Can't remember the guy who got booked, number 8, maybe the guy with the
baldy fella.
Short hair, the baldy fella. He put in a couple of meaty enough challenges, but not too bad. But you could tell. I don't know if they were standoffish because it was Celtic and the whole atmosphere, and the fact that they were playing against a team that they were playing at home and 3/4 of the ground was supporting the away team and that kind of thing. So no, we weren't really troubled by them. I didn't think. I think that played a good part in it for Cliftonville. I think if they'd been playing Rangers, then it might have been a kind of different game. I don't know if they were just a wee bit in awe. A Celtic team that we all know isn't as good as the Celtic name, I suppose.
Fair enough. Scott, to go on to the goals. First one is from a set piece after a mistake by a Cliftonville fan. Lustig, not often you would see a player like that getting on the score sheet, so were you pleased for him?
I like Lustig. Lustig's another guy that you could even go back to what we spoke about last week, Marty. Lustig was a guy, I remember a guy at Hampden, and I think it was a Heart semi-final. Richie, you'd have been there as well. And this guy just, Lustig, what a dumpling. We got this guy for nothing, man. We couldn't give him away. He's hopeless. And I'm kind of going, and I didn't think he was particularly bad in that game, but this guy just wasn't having Lustig on. It was another guy, but he looks very, very strong player. And see that header, that was a smashing header. I really a cracking goal. But he looks the part, and he scored a few last season. Did they not score 2 in one game?
I know time he seems to weigh in, which is great. But you do want that from your. You've
got to look at your right back position. When you've got Adam Matthews, who impresses every time he plays, and there's Lustig, and you're kind of saying the two of them, and it's maybe something that Izagiri didn't have last season with somebody pushing him, and maybe that's because Lustig deserves his place, and every time you see Matthews deserves his place. So I thought it was a smashing goal, and it kind of summed up his performance that game. I think that goal.
Yep, fair enough. Second goal then was a corker, wasn't it, from that man with the beard?
Big Sammy, aye, cracker.
What do you think?
He's done excellent. I mean, he's held the ball up exactly how you want a centre forward. I mean, how many times, even Salmon asked himself, how many times did you see it in the past where the ball would bounce off him or stuff like that? He's changed his style. Well, he's changed his style since I've watched him at Celtic. We kind of, because of what he scored in Heerenveen, I think it was Heerenveen, wasn't it, Richie?
Aye.
I think he scored a wad of goals in Heerenveen and went down to Man City, and I don't think Man City was a total disaster. But I mean, if you look at if he played a fair bit and stuff like that, and they end up just getting caught up in the whole multi-million-pound deals that they started doing, and I thought we were getting a proper striker, and then we went through the spell. We've played him wide on the left, and even that wasn't working initially. But he's becoming that. He is. I think it was Eddie Pearson a good while ago said, him and Harry Brady were sitting talking about it, and they said, this boy, big boy, he's grown into it. And he's certainly grown into the club. And that goal kind of sums up. He brought it down, he's took his touch, he's went by the guy, he basically made himself space. And to get that much power, and just basically, because it practically went through the goalkeeper rather than right into the top hand corner. I mean,
I was very impressed. Commons led the ball off to him, but I was actually very impressed. He stepped away for half a yard himself,
and got that power into it. It was it was really good. It was a smashing goal, and again, I think he deserved it. Every time he got the ball, he was always looking for Forrest, and every time he got it, his wee touches seemed to drive him away from the midfield. And Big Sammy's another one. The goals kind of summed up the game for me, because, as I say, we'll come to Forrest's goal as well, but I thought Forrest had a smashing game as well as Stamaras and Lustig. So your three top performers on the day all kind of stood up.
And Richie isolated Stokes as well a wee minute ago. On Samaras, before we move off him, is that the sort of goal he should be doing more often? Should Lennon be saying to him, look, stick around the box, stop floating, make yourself a handful? Or, I'm still really, I've grown to like the guy. A couple of years ago I would have wanted rid of him, but,
Yeah, yeah.
It seems to me we still don't really know how to use him. So if you were Lennon, what would you be saying?
To me,
Yep.
I don't know. It really depends because, see, the thing that I used to say about Samaras is we've got a striker who doesn't score goals and doesn't make goals. Right? He frustrated the absolute hell out of me because he wasn't creating. He seemed to pass at the right time and stuff like that. However, he kind of got that position where he was going left mid, mare, left winger, floating in kind of thing, and he started providing a hell of a lot, and we started getting goals out of it. And we don't know. See, when you've got a guy like Gary Hooper, you had to supply him. Basically, that was it. You had to. If you've got this guy stalling and waiting for the wee tap ins, you've got to supply him. Else, he's a waste of a jersey. So I think Samaras, even Stokes to an extent, they understood this. I think it was a thing that Bangura limited on what we saw him. I think it was something that Bangura never really understood because I think he tried to do too much with the little that he had. But we'll come to that in a minute because we'll no doubt talk about him as well. But right. Samaras now, it really depends on what Lennon's going to do with Stokes. Because Stokes is a goal scorer as well. I mean, he's proved that in the Scottish League time and time again. So I think you'll find that Samaras will just keep on doing what he's doing, floating about, picking up the ball, committing players, and then try to supply the front man as much as possible, rather than becoming the number 9 that he wears on his back. You know what I mean?
Richie, what's your thoughts on Samaras?
Right. I agree with Scott. The guy. You don't really know always what you're going to get from him, and his role in the team seems to change season for season. Lennon's first season, I think he's kind of set his first full season as manager. Samaras played up front quite a lot of the time. Last season he was out wide, and played. I know he got a player of the season for a lot of areas, but I didn't feel he was player of the season. And this season, with Hooper probably away, it could be a case of him changing again and playing up front and taking that position. I think. Well, I mean, against Cliftonville it seemed quite fluid, where it was Stokes, Commons and Samaras, they kind of swapped about quite a bit, and then you had Watt come on and played it left. So, I mean, he has all the talent in the world if he can use it properly. Well, he doesn't have all the talent in the world, but for the SPL he does, and for a certain amount of European football. So, I mean, a goal that's one of the best goals he scored for Celtic. The turn and the shot was class.
No, that's what I thought, and that's my thinking. You're nearly like saying, why don't you do that more often? You have it in your locker.
Well, we've spoke a million times about it. If he was doing that regularly at the highest level, then you wouldn't be keeping him, would you? Really?
No, he'd be away.
You've got to think he'd be away. So we've got to. A wee bit of common sense kind of comes into it when you're thinking about Samaras, that for the highs you're going to get the lows with him and style. You know what I mean? I think Celtic fans kind of appreciate that now. Kind of.
Maybe so. Or maybe we're getting there with him. So third goal came very late in the second half after, I suppose, a very spirited Cliftonville comeback early on in the half. They came out, I suppose as you would expect, a part-time team to come out blazing, all guns blazing at the very start of each half, and Cliftonville probably did that. Richie, James Forrest's goal, talk us through it.
I think it was Stokes that played him through, and he took it well enough. Before that, he'd missed an easier one. He stuck it by the post, which was quite frustrating for us and for him. But no, I think this could be a big season for Forrest. I think not a make or break season, but if he's going to be the player that a lot of us think, including me and most of you, I think, then I think he really has to kick on this season, especially if Hooper's going to be away. Then that leaves a space for somebody to score 10, 15 goals, which he's capable of if he can stay fit. I think that's the main thing. If he can stay fit, if he's going to have another injury-plagued season, then you'd have to wonder how much of a part he's going to play for us in the years to come. But I think if he can stay fit, develop physically, and I think he's already got the football intelligence, then he could be an excellent player for Celtic. He could be the next superstar. He could be the next player that we're looking to punt for 8-9 million quid. I think he does have that potential. A lot of players have that potential, so it's just a case of whether he can, utilise it, and Lennon can keep him fit. But I think a lot of his injuries might be growing pains and, his body changing or whatever. He does have quite a strange posture as well. So hopefully, those will end and he can get a good, 20 games in a row and get 10 goals and kick on for there. But Celtic kind of were happy enough to pick Cliftonville off on the counter for quite a lot of the second half, which was working quite well for us. So, and we were quite comfortable at the back, apart from one or two little episodes. One was of our own making. So I think that was the right tactic to use in the second half, really.
Scott, anything to add on Forrest? I actually thought Forrest, he worked his butt off as well during the game.
Richie's going to bang on the button. I mean, he was described. But UEFA kind of picked him out, didn't he, as one of the up and coming, and I think got to him a wee bit. But I don't know. He certainly needs developing, and I don't know if we're that good at developing. I mean, see Eddie McGeady. I mean, Eddie McGeady had all the natural talent in the world, but he seemed to stop progressing. Do you know what I mean? He kind of. And I just think Forrest, he needs to know what he's going to do. Is he going to be a winger or is he going to be a midfielder? Richie says we've always had the attitude that our wingers have got to be scoring goals as well as supplying goals. And I really don't think, certainly not last season. Last season, as Richie says, he was kind of an injury hit season for him. So you're hoping is that he stays away from injury this year, but either becomes somebody who creates a hell of a lot of goals for us. I mean, what I mean by a winger, I mean, you look at Alan Thompson. Alan Thompson played on the left for us, but he was a midfielder. He was a left mid, and he scored a hell of a lot of goals because he shot, but he supplied a lot of goals for somebody who never had blistering pace. He just had a natural cracking left foot. So Forrest I think he's got to go by the man and get it all. I mean, if you've got somebody like Samaras floating about the box, then you've got to use that. I mean, the big man knows how to put the ball away. So that's what I would like to see from him this season. I'd like to see him either scoring more goals or creating more goals, if that makes sense. I would, if he's going to be a winger, be a winger. If he's going to be a midfielder, be a midfielder. But I'd like to see a definite position for him. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, or was that just waffle?
Yeah, no. So I know what you mean, certainly, but I think for most of that match, he was all right. There were especially
a good game, Marty.
What's that?
I thought he had a good game.
No, definitely, and that's what I'm saying. But the point was going to be that I think the team. I think in the past the team have been afraid to use him. They weren't afraid to use him last week. They were, especially in the first half, they were battering the balls down into the corners from the go for, which is a good sign. That's sort of what I was getting at. It's a sign that he's developing along with the team around him, which can only be good.
He's 22-year-old now. I mean, it's time to step up.
Yeah, no, exactly. Would agree with that. Richie, to come back just to the general fanfare and all of that. Any other thoughts on the atmosphere? There was some complaints that the atmosphere was crap.
Well, I was in the end behind the goal that Celtic scored in the second half, and the atmosphere was, it was all right.
Was that the Celtic end, Richie? Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, that was the Celtic end. The category A end.
Category A.
So we get in.
The investors end.
The investors end. It was me and I saw Peter Lowell's son and stuff like that, and they had champagne. We got in quite late, and it wasn't assigned seating or anything like that, so we were at the back, the very back, not even in a seat in the concourse, and just leaning there into the seats. So the atmosphere wasn't brilliant. I think it's sometimes hard with those games because sometimes people are so drunk that the atmosphere doesn't get up. I mean, people have been out beviing all day, and then, you had guys in your stand sleeping and all this kind of stuff, and, in our stand there was guys, they were just too drunk to sing and stuff like that. And then I don't know, maybe it was the sun, I don't know, but the atmosphere was good, but it was nothing amazing. Maybe it was just too small or something like that, or people were. The atmosphere in your stand, Marty, along the touchline looked good, and they were doing the huddle and everything like that. We only done the huddle once, but it was brilliant. I enjoyed it, and the Cliftonville fans I thought were excellent. There wasn't loads of them. How many was there? Maybe 2,000-3,000 of them. But they were getting right into it, and I thought those stands looked the best crack because you had a mix of fans. I don't know what the banter was like. I don't know anybody was in them, if it was good natured the whole 90 minutes or what. But I thought that looked good. But I thought the whole thing was a brilliant advertisement for Celtic, Cliftonville, and just our people, because compared to everything else that was happening in Belfast 2 weeks before, their idea of culture, and then we come out and it was just amazing. We went out after the game and there was just all women out in the street just talking about how they had never seen the likes of it in Belfast in years. They never so many people, out in the street having a party and all this kind of stuff. So it seemed, the people there just seemed to love it, and it was just good to be a Celtic fan and be at the match.
I have to say, it was one of the best days out I've had in years and years. We had the Belfast Celtic Museum open on the day, and it was brilliant to see the amount of people that were coming in from all over, showing an interest and helping us out. And we got a load of £100 worth of donations of people throwing money in the bucket and getting their photographs taken, and it was really, really special. I racked up at about 4 o'clock and drove up past the Rock Bar, and there was easily 1,000 people outside the Rock Bar. It was crazy, but everybody was enjoying themselves. There was no hassle, no problems and stuff, and it was just a real feel-good day. And we ended up in a... Sorry, what was that?
No cause any bother, no?
Cops stayed away. They just,
yes. We've got common sense.
It's not that. They'd be more worried about getting blew up. Somebody asked me the other day about, about on-street drinking, with the cops thing, and the cops are more worried about getting hit by a blast bomb somewhere, rather than worried about, they'd be more worried about somebody using the cover of a match to have a go at them rather than taking a drink off people. And, we were in a wee beer garden facing the waterworks in one of the wee Catholic bars there, and headed up afterwards, got a carry out and bounded up through the Cliftonville. It was just powerful. The sun was blazing, and there was just thousands upon thousands of fans just making their way and being very merry. On the way back, I think we need to give a special mention to the Green Brigade. I think their bus broke down on the way back in the middle of Tigers Bay, and they had to get a police escort to the boat. So I'm sure there was a few sweaty armpits in that bus.
So, to kind of touch on it, I was listening to, is it the 10 in a row podcast? I don't know if you guys have jumped on it yet, but Graham and Paul were talking about the order, the recommendation that Celtic fans shouldn't wear their colours, and it was kind of proved to be unfounded end up. But what did you think of that statement? They two guys seem to get right peed off about it, whereas I took it was just a recommendation. I didn't think it was that big a deal. I mean, but
it wasn't that big a deal. And I was speaking to a photographer friend of mine who called up to see us at the museum, and he said to me about it, and I said, well, it's basically just keeping our fans right. In case anything happens, then you can say, well, look, we try to advise them and stuff. But I'd said to him, what's a crack? Or he had asked me about it, and he says, it makes no odds. The town's full of Tims. He came up from the city centre. He says it's great. They're roaming about everywhere. So I think the problem with Belfast is if you're unfamiliar with the area, that you could stray very close one way or the other way, and find yourself in bother. For example, if you're at the Europa bus station and you come out the wrong end, if you turn left instead of right, you could find yourself in the middle of Sandy Row. So I think it's just pretty common sense advice, to be careful and watch yourself. Once you're in the Falls or up on our part of North Belfast, there's absolutely no problem, And I watched some people walking across Millfield, which would be the bottom of the Shankill, and they seem to get past okay. I didn't hear any reports of any bother or trouble. So, what can you say? If the club come out and says no, fire about, nobody cares, and then something happened, then people would be ready to stick the boot into them. So it's probably sound advice. I wouldn't go overboard about it. And as I say, if you were on the Falls Road, anybody driving past the Beehive, the West, the Rock, or the Felons, the whole road was just ablaze with green and white. It was wonderful. It was so great to see, and it's reminiscent of 40, 50, 60 years ago when Celtic used to come and play at Belfast Celtic Park. And maybe this will put the germ of an idea in mind, because there was no trouble, that maybe Celtic will come and play Cliftonville every year and bring the full team. I don't know, but I have to give full credit to Cliftonville. The place well organised, plenty of marshals looking after everybody, and everything except the temporary stand which nearly fell apart when we were doing that. It was a bit rickety, but at the end of the day, everybody got home safe and there was no problems.
Very good, very good. Well, Richie, yourselves, the same You said that. I mean, how many people did you come up in a bus, or did you just come up in a motor?
No, I came on the motor with Joe and Harper for Homeboys, so thanks Joe for the lift. And we drove in, we left Dublin about 4:30 or something, and the time we got to Belfast after stopping off for a couple of things, it was, I think it was 7:15. No, we knew we were going, so we drove right in, got parked round the corner at Cliftonville Bowling Club, so there was no hassle. Walked up, had one pint, and that was it. We just strolled into the stadium, so it was brilliant. And then on the way back, a couple of times we had to ask the police where we were going just to get to the West Link to go south again, and the police were brand new, were sound. You could tell ourselves supporters, and we were driving past. And like Marty says, the police were fine. We drove to get to the West Link, and we drove past Woodvale where all the Huns have been gone ballistic, and there was about 50 of them maybe, and there was a load more police there than there was in the entire match, I think, and so that just shows you where their priorities are lying, is with them rather than ourselves.
They were also in the waterworks in the park. When we get in, me and the mates went up the back of the far end of the stand, and we turned around, there was a couple of young bucks who were trying to get in, and they did, fair play to them, and we pulled them up over the stand and into the stand with us, and they were great crack. So it was just a complete party atmosphere, and a bit of a warm bath if you're a Celtic fan. Obviously, we walked away for 3-0 up. I'm sure the Cliftonville fans weren't expecting anything different. So I just think, job done, great A day, and I hope it's not the last. I hope it's not the last of those days, because the atmosphere is totally different than Glasgow. Totally different. It really is. Anyhow, anything else you want to add in it, or can we wrap it up?
No, I think that kind of covers it.
That's good. Okay, Richie, nothing else? No?
No, I've nothing to add. No.
Sound as a pound. Okay, well, we'll draw the curtain over this one, and we'll move on to part 2 and the game at Brentford. Alright, so moving on to part 2. Yesterday we flew the coop from Belfast and headed over to London, the big smoke, for a game against Brentford, which struck me as a pretty strange place to have a friendly, but for the London boys who I know have been over there for pre-season before at QPR and at Fulham, they really enjoy their days out, and Scott so proved yesterday.
I've got to say I don't know not much about it. A few of my mates went down. I was on a huddleboard this afternoon, just having a wee look to see what the script was about the game and stuff like that. And there seems to be allegations flinging about. So what happened? With the pitch invasion? When did the pitch invasion happen?
There was a pitch invasion right at the end, and there have been there've been flares thrown on the pitch at one stage, and at another stage, a guy came on and took a kick out for Zaluska, who actually stood back and let him take it. So I think high spirits is the way to describe that one, But yeah, you didn't see much of it then, no?
Mate, I didn't see any. I was kind of floating about. I was at a wee game yesterday, and then I was barbecuing, so I never saw it. I just heard people just updating as a score and stuff like that. But it seems that we're the most evil fans in the world, according to Brentford fans, because we ran on the pitch.
Not even according to Brentford fans, because the Brentford players were on Twitter last night saying how great we were and all this.
Right?
And yep, and there were, just for those who haven't heard, anyway, there was a allegation made that Celtic fans were singing a song about the guy who was beheaded in London a couple of weeks ago. But even the Brentford players saying Celtic fans are getting stick for a song they didn't sing. So it's clearly your man, well, I won't even grace his name on our podcast, but there's a high profile Rangers fan who's been
that
the one who does the trout put with the fluorescent yellow gloves. That guy. We'll see how it pans out. But yeah, so it seems that there's been.
He does the what?
Yeah, there's a photo of him with a trout put and a pair of fluorescent yellow gloves, hugging himself. You haven't seen it, no?
Is this Chris Graham we're talking about?
Oh, you see the name, man.
Rubber lips. Rubber lip
Very
Graham.
good,
But no, I'll send you a photo, Richie. I have the photo on my desktop here, don't worry. I've been looking at it.
Anyway, who cares anyway? You're a private school posh old idiot anyway. I mean, I don't know why Celtic fans even bother conversing with him. You know what I mean? He's just I don't know. He's like the Rangers version of Paul 67, but a really unlikable one. I mean, Paul 67's alright, but he's like the intelligent Rangers fan who we're all supposed to, who all the Huns are supposed to listen to. Like he posts on follow, and he will post a really long, kind of half intelligent, using big words type thing, and they'll all stand back and oi him. Oh, that's great, that is. You know what I mean? Even though a lot of it doesn't make sense. But I was watching Sky Sports News last night. Like Scott, I was out yesterday and I had a barbecue and all, and I came in and I watched Sky Sports News for a minute, and I saw them talking about the game, and they showed the goal kick, and then the woman for Sky Sports was quite shocked because there was Celtic fans on the pitch and they swung on the crossbar. Oh, she couldn't believe it. She was, that was really quite rude behaviour. I don't, you know what I mean? I think Brentford knew exactly what they were doing when they invited Celtic to come down on a Saturday afternoon. Brentford's in London, is it? Is it in proper London?
It is. Aye.
What did they expect then? I mean, how far is it for Glasgow to London, and then you've got the rest of the London boys who are going to be on the drink and all the night before, so nobody's expecting any different. What's the big deal? And if there was a song about your man as well, I've heard worse songs than that at Celtic games. I'm sure there might have been 5 or 6 guys singing a song, if there even was that. No,
you've definitely
who
heard.
Have we got to go by on? Is it just this Egypt for Twitter that's saying that?
It's just this dick. But I think we can all agree we've all heard worse at Rangers games. Paedophilia. I'm sure you have. I know. I'm talking about from Rangers fans. Bobo Baldy picking bananas with his feet and all the rest of it.
Who's going to take more lessons for the Huns on Twitter about what songs we can or can't sing? Well, if there's an out-of-order song by Celtic fans, then we'll say it ourselves. But we don't need to take any. I'm not going to take any lessons for them. I mean, I went on follow. I went on the huddle board just to see what was happening. Then I went on follow, just have a laugh. And of course, there's a 25-pager about that Rangers should be making a statement about this, this kind of stuff. So you just laugh at them. I mean, they've nothing better to do about their time.
Mental, absolutely mental. Yeah, they're just hurting because their bus was burnt.
Aye. So I saw that. I saw McCoy's his statement was brilliant, or his comments on it were world class. You can always rely on him to make a brilliant statement. It saddens me, it really does. I think it's pathetic that people would go to the extremes. It sounds like a premeditated attack on the Rangers bus, and I'm gutted about it, but thankfully nobody's been killed.
Well,
they didn't even own this bus. You know what I mean? This bus was like their child or something, the way they're going on about it. The fanfare when they brought it out, somebody set it on fire. Good luck to whoever did it. And we're supposed to, that's what they've got to worry about is what we do and their bus. Sad times for them.
It really is sad and pathetic times. That's a cracker. I'm just glad nobody was killed in an empty bus depot in the middle of the night.
Premeditated attack.
It's like that film Repossessed on the TV. The reporter, and he goes, an empty space in a barren desert was destroyed today in a massive tornado that nobody's seen, nobody heard, whatever else.
A premeditated attack on a bus, so it wasn't self-defence or manslaughter. It was murder. It was bus murder.
See, to be perfectly honest, I've fell asleep in buses though, so it could.
Aye, true.
Yeah, that's true. Not as bad as Johnny, boys. Remember Johnny when we were in Milan? At the Celtic match in Milan, he fell asleep in a train and ended up in France.
You're Johnny boy off Audible.
Loves his kept as that boy.
I thought it was bad ending up in East Kilbride.
What's that?
I thought it was bad enough ending up in East Kilbride.
I woke up in East Kilbride and Dundalk. I don't know which is worse. I've done both.
According to Shasu, East Kilbride, nothing much happens there. Nothing much happens there. I'll tell you what, if I was McCoist, I would be looking much closer to home because there are people on his board, or soon to be on his board, who know an awful lot about burning buses. And we shall say no more about that. We shall draw the kindly veil of silence over this topic and move on to part 3. Alright, so part 3, boys. Looking down the barrel of the next tie, which could be a wee bit the next Champions League tie, we're trying not to be too disrespectful to our friends from Cliftonville, but we've been drawn against probably Eflsborg, who are, I think, in the commanding position in their tie. Scotty, strong words from Lennon kind of surprised me about Mo Bangura. Are we really that worried about this absolute goat?
You see, the thing is, he's confident, Marty, right? He scored that last game, and by all accounts, who they were playing were pretty damn poor. But the thing is, he's confident. He's all there. He's back scoring goals again. See, to be perfectly honest, if he's starting for them and you can take him out the team, you take him out the team. Doesn't matter who it is, right? And but I don't really see the logic in it because Neil Lennon's kind of already. he's already intimated. I mean, he sent him on loan last year. He's left him on loan this year. You get the feeling that Bangura's no really got a future at Celtic, didn't you? You get that feeling of if somebody come up and respond, Dooley's he'll be away.
Yeah.
So Lennon's now said we don't want him playing, and it'll be bad for him if he plays because it will kind of kill his career here. That's probably why Mo Bangura wants to play. Mo Bangura's probably seen it as, if I score against Celtic, I might actually get taken back here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I can understand
or at the very least, if he does manage to score against Celtic, then he helps himself get a move somewhere permanent.
I know, but the thing is, how much would a mug would you look like signing a guy for allegedly £2 million, and then you send him out loan and he sticks you at the Champions League?
Oh,
it was. You put it as plain and simple as that. I totally understand where Lennon comes from. You know what I mean? If he's in a team, then he's a starter. And if you're taking him out of the team, then surely the guy on the bench is worse than him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Richie, what's your thoughts?
On Bangura, I don't know. I don't really care if he plays against us. I suppose you just.
Well, just to bring you back, then should Eflsborg be allowed to play him?
I don't know. Is there a rule?
No, it's not It's not in the rules. So it's
how could we stop it if
Lennon says Lennon's talking him not playing. He's basically saying he wants to play. They say they're going to play him, and Lennon's saying to Bangura, in your best interest, not to play.
But this has happened before, and it happened during O'Neill's time. Because I can remember O'Neill talking about somebody who was on loan against us, and O'Neill saying, that the team had agreed not to play him, and he was asked why. Basically the press were saying, well, you're sort of cheating here because you're weakening their team before they come to you. And what he said was, well, it's very unfair if that player, I think it was a cup tie, and they says, look, if that player puts us out of the cup, that could make it very difficult for when he comes back. Our fans could react to him, and it would be better for all concerned if he just didn't play. So it's not the first time we've been in this position. It escapes me as to who it was. I'm sure some of our listeners through the Twitter at Temporary Stand can let us know.
Yeah, but that's a because that was in the same league setup and stuff like that. That's a general. I mean, that happens in England all the time because they more or less do that, loan people out and stuff like that. And you had the case. I remember Newcastle loaned, was it Loa to Portsmouth, and they scored the winner in the next game.
Yep.
When they played, you know what I mean? And everybody was going, why did you not put it in the contract that you couldn't go? But you just don't think you're going to be getting the Swedish team, do you? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. To go back to the tie, I can see it being tricky enough. The whole fitness thing. However, if we play like we should and we can, then, to be perfectly honest, once again, like Cliftonville, we should win and we should qualify into the next round again. However, if we take our eye off the ball, I dare say they can give us a kick up the arse.
And is Bangura the man to do that, Richie?
I don't think so. If we saw him, you know what I mean, you'd be more worried about the fans behind the goal getting spanked with the ball, judging by, because whenever I saw him, that's what he did with it. But I mean, I think Lennon's entirely right to play those kind of games with him. You know, I mean, what if they're going to play those games, then Lennon should go right back at them. And maybe deep down he's not that worried because he doesn't want the guy back and he doesn't rate him, and he's not that worried if he plays against us. But you still play the game. You know, you try and put things in his heat and in their heat. Should we play him? Is it bad form? Will we ever get a lone player again if we do this kind of thing? So he's dead on, and I think we shouldn't have any problems dealing with a team like Eflsborg at all. You know, I think Helsingborg's would be beat them last season, and you'd expect them to be a slightly better team. And this mob are fifth. In this league. It's quite close. So.
But they won it last year, Richie. They won the Swedish Championship. So as much as you're saying we beat it, I think you'll see the same standard. And see, to be perfectly honest, was it Helsingborg or was it the other one? No, it was Helsinki. Helsinki missed a good few pinches in that first half against us, do you know what I mean?
It was Helsingborg last season who destroyed us in the first half, if you remember.
Is that what it was?
Aye, they could have been. They gave us a real fright. So you're right, maybe I'm writing them off a wee bit, and maybe I'm just thinking that Helsingborgs are better because I've heard of them. I've never really heard of Helsingborgs at all, to be honest. First thing I think I had heard of them is when Bangura signed for them.
They won the Intertoto Cup twice.
I did not know that, mate.
There you go.
That's top
So there you
class.
go,
That's top class football captain there, Scotty
There
boy.
you go,
When did they win this?
2008 was the last time where they beat off Hibs. But see, it's mad though, because like 2008 they won the Intertoto Cup, so they get into the UEFA Cup and they get beat off St Patrick's Athletic.
But the Intertoto Cup is that level, isn't it? Really, it's like for backwise teams, really.
It's a daft tournament.
Do you know, I haven't heard anybody
still on
mention.
the go.
I don't know.
I was just about to say it. I haven't heard anybody mention the
I don't think
Intertoto.
it is. I think they just made the qualifying rounds bigger.
Just bigger, aye.
So maybe they won the last ever Intertoto Cup.
So, a wee bit of information. The stadium holds 17,800, and it's a particularly modern stadium, but it's got an artificial pitch again.
Right. So that's been good practice at Cliftonville then.
Well, that's it. But the thing we've always got to remember is we're training on artificial pitch some of the time, do you know what I mean? Up by. So, artificial, we've actually done no bad artificial pitches in the past couple of years, haven't we? I mean, it's easy enough. And they've got one at Barrafield and all. They've got full size pitch here.
Was it Helsingborg last year too in the Champions League? We played in the artificial.
Helsingborg had one, aye.
In fact, we might be unbeaten in European football on artificial pitches. That's the claim I'm going to make. Moscow, we beat them.
We drew. We drew with Moscow.
Aye.
Very good point.
And we beat Dunfermline years ago.
So it's right up your street.
That's it.
I thought the Cliftonville pitch was very good on Wednesday.
It looked terrible.
Did it? I didn't see any, like, you're close to the action, and I didn't see any dodgy bounces. When the ball gets in the corner, you know the players, they're not going all at it the way they would on a normal pitch, but I thought it was alright. Like, I didn't think, oh Jesus, shouldn't be playing on that. I didn't like it.
It's been a very important part of their business plan, having that pitch.
Would they rent to it and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So they make a fortune on that, aye.
It's a money spinner for them, for people playing 11s.
For some reason, I was looking at the price of them a few years ago, just in my interest, and they were saying that for your outlay within about 8 years, you're making about 200 grand on it. Know what I mean? So if you follow the, but there's an English fella playing up front for him. He's been a regular goal scorer. James Keane is the boy's name. He went in 2006, so he's been there a fair trek. They've got the old boy for Southampton, Anders Svensson. He's 36 or 37, but he's like 141 international caps for Sweden, and he's a set piece specialist. So, if we take our eye off it, I can dare say that we might put ourselves into bother. However, going by last year and going by Cliftonville, we seem to be, when it comes to Europe, we've got our eye on the ball. We've not really kind of let one slip. So,
I thought Celtic were very focused on Wednesday night. I thought it was as good a performance as you can expect in a game like that. Job done, and I didn't think there was. So, I think judging by that, then Lennon has them well primed for qualifying for the Champions League, unless we end up playing against a team who are just better than us. But I think any team that we're clearly better than, I think we will win. We're not going to. I don't think we're going to get upset by lack of attitude or not being prepared. I think Lennon has us well prepared, and I think people moaning about the pre-season in Germany, that just shows you that those games prepared us for Cliftonville. And that's what it was all about.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah.
Well, just before we leave off on all of this, Tuesday night, Jesus, we haven't even spoken that there's actually a match happening here on Tuesday night against Cliftonville. Richie, you saw the Cliftonville players up close. How do you think they're going to cope in that big-assed Celtic pitch?
I think it depends how on Celtic, really. I think Cliftonville will be hopeless against us in terms of if we are at it and we're looking to kill the tie-off completely, as in get a couple of goals before half-time, then we will. I don't think they'll be able to do much about it. Their pitch was quite small, and they didn't look anywhere near the fitness that we had, even from the first half. I thought they were struggling quite a bit. So, Celtic used the pitch and, say Lennon says to them, let's get 2-3 before half-time and that'll be it finished, then I think we can do that, and then take it easy in the second half and maybe win 4 or 5-1 or something like that. But I'm not too... I might not even watch it.
I'm sure you will, you liar.
I will watch it. Of course I'll watch it. But
I know you will. Yeah, spoof. Scott, it was interesting to note yesterday, although Amadou Baldi scored, one of our youth players scored, and it seemed to be very much a second string 11 out who seemed to cope pretty well with the occasion down in Brentford. But do you think Lennon will make any? We're 3-0 up, 3 away goals, so which means Cliftonville would have to beat us 4-0 at Celtic Park. So it's highly unlikely to happen. Do you think Lennon's going to make any changes, or is he going to stick with the same?
Well,
11
this is. I was actually talking to. I've got an interest in the boy Liam Henderson. He's a nephew of a fella I work with, and I've kind of been hearing about his progress over the years, and I always kind of asked Johnny when he was going to these games, how did the boy Liam Henderson? And he says he's very composed. I think he's a captain of Scotland when he plays. I think whatever level that is, the age he's playing. But so I'm kind of hoping he gets a wee run. I was happy that he was one of the highlights we had through the pre-season games. That he was introducing the team, but Lennon's got a past of bringing guys in for a few matches and then putting them back down to his level. I don't know if it's just a kind of this is how the big boys do it. I mean, he was actually in the match squad for Cliftonville, but he never made the bench. So I was talking about him, and he seems very highly thought of at Celtic. So I'd like to see him get a go. However, Lennon maybe sometimes is a wee bit overcautious with regards to this, so I dare say we'll go out with much the same team, maybe making a load of changes at half time to give people a run out. Once the tie's dead, the tie's dead, do you know what I mean? Which kind of already is. I would like
what I'd be worried about is there's a lot of meaty challenges, especially in the second half against Cliftonville. You know, they didn't hold back. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that they were going out to hurt players or anything like that. It could have been tiredness or it could have been frustration or whatever. But you certainly wouldn't want to lose with a lengthy injury list as it is. You wouldn't want to lose on anybody else.
No, I know, but you've still got to close it out, don't you? You've got to give, as much as the tie might be dead, you've got to give Cliftonville the respect that they kind of deserve, do you know what I mean? So we've got to go out there. I dare say Big Sam will play, Stokes he'll play. Going back to the Cliftonville game, I was surprised that Baldy never come on the pitch. He never got any playing times because I still, as I said, we said last week, we don't know what's going to happen with Baldy, you know what I mean? As per usual, some people have an after. So he scored yesterday, but as I remember, Bangura scored a few in friendlies as well. So
it is good to get him on the score sheet.
At
the game, there was a lot of people who were saying, "Why isn't Baldy coming on?" They wanted to see him, but I don't think it was the time to bring him on. I don't think we'll see the best of him. And no, really, no. I don't think the guy's on hiding to nothing at the moment. I think we're certain. I mean, at the game, the one player who took quite a lot of abuse, and he seems to be coming in for it now, was Ambrose. There was guys who had a downer on him for the very beginning of the match. Mm-hmm. Any time a misplaced pass or anything like that, they were on his back and they had it in for him. Now, so I don't think if Baldy's made quite a slow start to the game, then these guys aren't going to do him any favours. The guy's young. He's coming into a completely culture. He's not used to a country. He doesn't speak the language. So I think Len would be best to, when you've got guys like Stokes, Commons, Samaras and even Watt, then let them do the business for the beginning of the season and then bring him in gradually. I didn't think Ambrose, I thought he'd done alright on Wednesday night. I actually thought Kelvin Wilson was the worst out of the two of them. In the first half, Ambrose had to keep coming there and covering for him, and he wasn't making a very good job of it. And then guys were completely on his back, and the abuse he was getting round about me was you've heard the same before, but there was also guys who had it in for him. So I mean, I would try and protect Baldy just while he's trying to get to grips with with a new team and with a new country. I mean, the boy's young. So
well, there you go, Richie. You've actually touched on something. I'm kind of going to contradict myself just on that last day. I was thinking about it after we done the podcast last week. I was thinking about Baldy, and I started thinking about Wigan, and your man certainly Martinez. He certainly had the idea that you brought guys into the club. You got them up to the fitness that you wanted them to get them. You get them to know the team, and then you introduced them. Because you think about Maloney. Maloney never played when he came off the bench here and there. I'm pretty certain McCarthy and MacArthur never get thrown in straight away. And the three of them have all progressed as players. beaten at any standard they've ever been at before, albeit Wigan getting relegated, obviously. But you know what I mean? And I was thinking, well, is that the way that Celtic should be? Exactly what you're saying. Take the pressure off them straight away. But Celtic fans are Celtic fans. We're fickle. We're like any other football fans. We're fickle. You bought a guy, you want to see him, and he never helped his case by fucking telling us he was the second coming. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you don't pay attention to it, and football players themselves say, you take that with a pinch of salt. But at the end of the day, we paid 1.6 million for a guy. You're not expecting him to be a brilliant player. If he's half decent, you'll be happy. You know, I mean, I don't know why we'd be expecting, this guy's going to be brilliant. Is it because he's big, or is it because he comes to Portugal? I mean, if we'd signed a guy for the English second division for 1.6 million, now I know he wasn't playing at a level that much lower, but the Portuguese league, out with the top 5-6 teams, isn't a great league. So he's playing for that. So I mean, he's playing championship level football. No championship level football, but he's playing for a team that's championship level. He's not playing for a top notch team.
Yeah,
so if he's in better than half decent, then you're doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you add in the fact that he's coming for a completely different culture for Glasgow, he's playing a different kind of football, then you have to give him a break. But also, don't expect him to be very good. If he turns out to be a Wanyama type, then brilliant. But the odds are he's either he's going to be below average, or he's going to be a decent enough player for us. But you're not going to expect him to be he's not going to be another Henrik Larsson or anything like that.
It's been interesting that the two players have focused on is Ambrose and Baldy and Amadou Baldy, because reading the reports on the internet from yesterday, they've got the most dogs abuse, I think, out of all the players. And they were probably the most senior players or two of the most senior players in the squad. So
why do you go to Brentford to watch a pre-season friendly and give people dogs abuse?
Aye.
Why do you go to
if you're too drunk, if you're too sober if you're sober enough to actually watch the game and what's going on, then you shouldn't have even gone to the game. The whole point is you go to the game steaming, and then you go on the pitch at the end and swing after the crossbar.
That's what it's for, mate. Aye, that's what it's for.
No, but that's two to watch. I mean, Ambrose is moving out of position again. It's funny whenever. Do you remember when Wanyama first arrived? Lennon was talking about converting him into
centre half. Aye.
Centre half, but with Ambrose it's the opposite. He's been a centre half, and Lennon's going to change him into a midfielder. So it'll be interesting to see how that experiment pans out as we go.
Well, he's been playing centre half for a while because the big Dutch guy has already broken a bone in his foot. So
is that what happened to him? Because I was literally just on the tip of my tongue going to say what happened to him. So what happened to him?
Richie.
I don't think I can say much better. Apparently, he's broke a bone in his foot. It's not serious, but he'll be lucky to even make the Eflsborg games. Is it Eflsborg or Eflsborg? I don't know, but he'll be lucky to make those games. Apparently, he broke a bone in his foot against in one of the pre-season friendlies. So
who cares?
Right, and he spent a lot of his time injured though, Marty, at this other team he was at. So
he spent the whole. Did he not spend nearly all of last season and season before it? I think his injury record was pretty poor, but I mean that's the market that we're shopping, and we're shopping them for these guys who aren't, who are middle tier European players, and you're hoping and praying. Myself and Scott spoke about it last week. You're hoping and praying that you get one diamond within about 5 duds. Mm-hmm. So that's just.
It's not even duds, is it? It's we're kind of hyping. We're wanting a Wanyama instead of kind of seeing guys for what they are. Just.
I think it's funny though, Scott, that even I suppose Steve McManus is probably the last centre half that our academy produced. Can you think of anybody else?
Say that again.
We've been sitting here for the last couple of years doing the temporary stand, the last year and a half, talking about the centre half position, and we're always going out and buying centre halves, or we're buying midfielders who we want to convert into centre halves. But I can't think of any player. We've brought through the likes of Tony Watt, we've brought through the likes of Forrest, and we've brought through different players for the midfield. But
Kennedy would be the big one, wouldn't he?
Who's that?
Kennedy.
John Kennedy. Jesus Christ, John Kennedy's retired 10 years.
And we don't even know how good he was. We have produced a proper centre half since George Cornley or something like that. Who have we ever brought through in the last? I don't remember Celtic ever bringing through a decent centre half. I don't know why. Or maybe it's just there's a shortage of good Scottish centre halves. They're hard to come by. But I mean, when was the last time we brought through a good centre half? I mean, John Kennedy might have been good. He might not have been good. He could have been another Steve McManus. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And surely to Jesus that's a priority position for Celtic, because we seem to struggle getting them.
You think about it, Dan. He came through, and there was high hopes for the boy. Was it Cuthbert as well, Scott Cuthbert? And they never seem to make the highs. You see, they never really hit the highs. I mean, as I said, you know how I feel about McManus. I felt McManus shrunk under the burden of being a captain. Playing beside Gary Caldwell never helped him. But I mean, you think about Steve McManus' first year when he played beside Baldy. I can't remember anybody overly critical of Stephen McManus. But then we go him and Caldwell, and the two of them used to come out and make ridiculous statements in the paper. And he shrunk as a player. You know what I mean? He shrunk as.
I don't know if I think McManus was a fairly limited player.
Of course he was. I mean, you look at.
God bless him. I think he overperformed as well. You know, and was good for some goals. And
I think that tells you all you need to know about the Scottish mentality about what makes a good centre half. The fact that he was touted as being good, and also Scott Cuthbert. I mean, he was a big donkey when you saw him playing for St Mirren or whatever. You would wonder, why was he ever touted as being a good prospect, because he could never have been. Because he didn't, he was just a big lumbering centre half who was 10 a penny. He could have been brought through by any team. He could have been like Darren Dodds. He was that type of player.
Jim Slavin.
Yeah.
Jim
Slavin. Jim Slavin. When I heard it saying from Motherwell, I was thinking that's 6 points for us at least this season.
About getting back to Celtic and the terms of buying players and hoping that some of them will be good. Surely the whole point of doing this in terms of buying players on the cheap and then selling for big money is that you can also, while investing in prospects, you can also buy a couple of good players who are already at a certain level. Talking about the Porto model and all this kind of thing, Porto don't just always go out and buy prospects and hope to bring them through. They also buy players who are 24, 25 who have played at a decent level and are ready to step right in. So Celtic can't just rely on we'll sign another 19-year-old, another 21-year-old, another 22-year-old, and hopefully that. Also, if we're getting 12 million for a player like Wanyama, we have to be taking 4 or 5 million of that and using it on wages and a decent transfer fee and getting somebody in who's at a decent level already. You can't keep buying guys and hoping that they'll bring through. You also have to improve your squad as it currently stands, so that there's guys who can come in and start playing in August and September. Because if you look, Wanyama didn't start playing until Kyle got injured. Baldy won't start playing until, if he ever does. Then you had Bangura and all those kind of things. I mean, Bangura looks crap, but maybe he would have been a better player if he hadn't get thrown in for the start and at such a young age. So we do have to start. We should be buying one or two decent players who are 20, 25, 26, who have played at a decent level and who can step right in and have played in the Europa League, who have played in Champions League qualifiers, and not just relying on youth.
They're there to be had. I mean, see the Spanish League. I've always been cracking on that we should always have scouts at all the games in Belgium, because that seems to be the place to go now. However, and the Spanish League is dying on its arse. Really, it really is. I mean, you've got Barcelona and you've got Real Madrid running away, but you're looking at teams like Malaga. Malaga, what a team they had last year, and they're basically selling off everybody. And you could. But
that was the same. That was the same thing. That's how we got Mickey. And Lassad, that these teams need to sell off.
They could have been top-notch players for us. It just didn't quite work out. With maybe Miku didn't fancy it and Lassad didn't fancy it either.
We know
those guys are. They've played at a decent level. You could tell.
The Lassad one is strange. I find it really strange that we brought this boy on. His technique against Hearts, he looked like a really good option. Did he fit in the team?
Well, we covered this last week. We covered the whole this whole argument was covered last week too. About we can't just rely on kids, and you have to let these guys when they come. You have to let the buggers bed in, because otherwise, what's the fucking point? Get down into your youths and bring your youths up, and don't waste money on these guys if you're not prepared to let them have a go. It's I think we've a way to go. I think with all of this, so.
But you can see, Marty, you can see Peter Lawwell thinking he never has to ever pay decent money for a player again, because he can just rely on John Park or whatever unearthing another diamond. That's not the way it works. We won't get another Victor Wanyama for 3 or 4 years. That's not going. You're not going to get a £12 million player every year.
No, I agree completely. Okay, so we're going to pull the curtain down on this one too. Just before we go, we've talked through the Champions League ties, but we also have another friendly to look forward to, Richie. Well, me and you do anyway. against Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time. You looking forward to it?
Aye, I can't wait, mate. Aye, it should be good. It's a full house, and I don't know if anybody knows the nature of football fans in Dublin, but I mean Celtic would be maybe the fourth or fifth biggest supported team in terms of people claim to be a fan. Now there'll be a lot more Celtic fans than Man City fans or Chelsea fans who actually go to games, but Liverpool would be the biggest, or them and Man United. Now the amount of Liverpool fans who still think that it's 1985 and that they're still the biggest team in the world is unreal, and why they play in Celtic and that. So I'm looking forward to it in that, and I hope Celtic take this seriously as a competitive match, because to me it is, you know what I mean. So I think we should really try and beat this mob, and apart from that, it should be a brilliant atmosphere. We were at the Dublin Cup a couple of years ago, and it wasn't that good because we were playing Inter Milan, who had no fans there, and then the next day we played League Ireland Select, which I never made it, and looked crap. So this game's going to be full. Dublin's going to be, should be good. So I can't wait. Aye.
I think it'll be a ding-dong day. But do you remember, I was just mentioned it as well last one of the last podcasts anyway, about we had remarked that, Jesus, if they had Liverpool at this big event a couple of years ago, it would have really made the day, because they have a support base here. So
aye, definitely. That's the way to go. Play Liverpool or Man United. That's the only teams really you'll get a crowd for. Those three. You'll get other English teams who are supported in Dublin, but you won't get the people who claim to support them out in numbers. But I mean, Liverpool are a massively supported team here, coming back from when they were a big team back in the 70s and 80s. So it's a perfect opportunity, and I can see why the organisers have decided to go that way rather than what they were trying a couple of years ago, which didn't really take off.
No, I think it'll pay off in spades. And I have an aunt who's a Liverpool fanatic, and she was trying to get tickets and struggled because Liverpool took it for allocation to give it obviously the people in Liverpool, which meant that the Irish Liverpool fans ended up battling with the Irish Celtic fans for the neutral area seats. So it should be a ding dong. It should be a cup tie day, I think.
But I mean, the last game, we turned up and we weren't even watching the game. We were drinking and we were talking and we were having a laugh. But this game, you'll actually be paying attention. Although the half five kickoff might be by the time half five comes.
I think that's great.
We'll see.
Kickoff time suits me just fine, I must say.
And for anybody that's not been to Aviva, you can get a pint in there. So,
pints will be had.
So in summary, Richie, friendlies are crap, but this one's really serious.
Pre-season friendlies against third division teams and that kind of thing that are on dodgy German telly that you can only watch in a pub, they're crap. But a game you can actually go to and get a pint at half time and pay 40 quid for a ticket or however much it's costing, they're alright, aye.
Right.
I'll teach you how it works, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll write you a wee guide and I'll send you it in an email.
Richie's guide to Dublin friendlies.
Scott's only saying this obviously because he's not going.
Nope.
And he's got it too. Ooh, you're gonna
keep myself for the real games, alright?
Marty and me and you were at the Cliftonville game, weren't we?
Yeah. Don't you start on that.
100% attendance record.
Even John Little was at the Cliftonville game. That shows you.
He'd a half and half scarf, but.
Aye.
Half and half hat. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a sore spot, Richie, because Scott was going to murder you when you found out you had a ticket and you didn't get it. Remember that one? No. We should maybe move on quickly before he goes tonto. Next week is the 27th of July, next Saturday, so we must be approaching Flag Day. Is it the 4th of August or something?
Aye.
3rd of August, aye.
3rd of August. So that's a day then, because it was switched for television. Just funny, Richie, just speaking about 5:30 kickoffs there. So
probably 5:15, aye.
So we'll just probably do a wee bit of a pre-season roundup next week and look forward ahead to the league starting. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much, Scotty boy.
Cheers, lads.
And Richie, Hawaii. God bless.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Cheers, lads.
That's us done for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition and you keep on downloading. As always, we enjoy your feedback. You can hit us all up on @Temporary on Twitter. You can tweet Marty on @CelticChuck67. You can get Richie on @RichieKid with an H in the kid, and you can get me @ScottMcCorry. You can also email us at temporarystand@hailhailmedia.com, or you can get us on the usual message boards. So that's us for another week, so good night, God bless, and hail hail.